Thank you, folks, for tuning in to episode number 4 right here. You know what time it is. The Ready Talk Boxing time. The RRT Boxing Show with your host, Mr.A. We are live, up and at it, so you know the drill. If you join the party, hit that thumbs up. If you watch it on the replay, hit that thumbs up. Show your support. It's your show. I'm just the host. Now, in today's episode, number 4, we are talking about the WBC new weight program they are implying. And majority of the show, we're going to be focusing on the early first quarter of 2019 Super Welterweights, the 154. As you've been seeing on some episodes, we talk about one subject and then we're just focusing on a weight class. We did welterweights, we did some lightweights. Now we're going to do some super welterweights. But first, let's go over this little WBC weight program. Now, it's definitely a good thing. And now, if you've been following the show and you're not a new viewer, you recall the episodes where we talked about dangerous weight cuts. You know, we did Josh Kelly pulling out of his fights. Remember the dramatic weight cut and how he was looking at his pictures. Go check out that video if you haven't seen it. Go watch that. We compare the pictures of his weight cut. Diego De La Hoya, he passed out in his training camp. Easily the more memorable opponent is David Lemieux, always missing weight. You know, so it's very important that I'm a fan of the weight cut program. I'm a fan of WBC trying to make it safer because I always feel it's dangerous. It's very dangerous, especially with nowadays fighters have better technology. They get stronger. They're training stronger. And with what's happening with Adonis Stevenson as of late and the Italian guy who died before him, you don't know what the body is going to be put through with this dramatic weight cut, how it reacts when it gets exhausted. And when a body is exhausted and they're taking punches to the head, they're dehydrated, they can't function properly. So who knows what type of brain damage could be done to the body, or what kind of damage could be done to the brain when the body's in that type of stage. So I'm all for whatever is for being safe. Now, the rules for their new program, since this is a super welterweight edition of the show, we're going to keep it at 154 for an example so we can get this going. Now, the 4 steps in this weight management program is that it's a mandatory disclosure. Both fighters gotta disclose what they weigh at the time of the fight. So when they agree to fight, all right, how much do you weigh out from the fight? So it's 4 months from the fight, you got to show how much you got to lose. Apparently, if it's too much, they might say no. But you gotta share with what you are weighing before the fight. And then the normal process is the 30, 14, 7-day program when you had to or the 30-day and the 7-day when you had to show your weight where you're at. You know, there's a lot of pictures, especially when Canelo and Triple G were on point. You kept seeing Canelo in those pictures, especially after his tainted beef story. So you have a 30-day before the fight weigh-in, a new 14-day from the fight weigh-in, and a 7-day fight weigh-in. So at the 30-day, you got to be at 10% of the weight. 14-day is 5% of the weight, and 7-day before the fight, you gotta be at 3% of the weight. So just to get an idea of where these percentages lie, again, this is a super welterweight episode, so we're gonna stick with the 154. So at 30 days before the fight, the WBC allows you to weigh 169.4. At the 14 weigh-in, you're allowed to weigh 161.7. And then 7 days before the fight at 3%, they want you at 158.2. Now, again, that's following the 154. Now, the third step is the promoter they gotta be in contact at all given times when the fighter gets to the arena, so they can be ready to be on scale, have the scale there. And they also got a new penalties in stages 4 of this program. Now, they can either warn you, they could fine you up to $5,000 if you don't partake in the following of number 1 and number 2, which is if you miss any of the 3 check-in weigh-ins, the 30 to 14 or the 7-day weigh-in. If you miss any of those, it could be a $5,000 fine. If you do not share your weight when the negotiations are signed, you could be a $5,000 fine. And then what's even bigger, if on the day, if you go to on number 3 process on the day of the weigh-in on the scale, if you missed weight, you can be fined up to 30% of your purse. So that's where they're really informing. They're really trying to get fighters to focus on being professionals, better take care of their body. Like I said, again, this is nothing wrong with this procedure if you want the fighters to come in safe. It's better for the sport. Nothing wrong with that. Now after you meet all that, after the weigh-in, the final thing is you cannot rehydrate more than 10%. Which is about 15 pounds, 13 to 15 pounds. That's about, so 154. They don't want you coming in no more than like 169. So like I said, you get a 15-pound window to get back up to. Me, myself, if you're 154, I would like to just see you stay at 164. Get a 10 pounds, but like I said, I don't know much. I'm not a nutrition. I don't know about hydrating the body and how it does, how much water you retain and all that good stuff. 15 pounds just still seems like a lot to be coming in the ring above your fight weight. That's just how I feel about that. Now, again, that is the WBC new weight program they're inflicting. I don't know when I don't know if it's going to be right away in 2019. Are they going to go for 2020? Are they having a committee board on it? But that is that. Now, I pose a question right here on the RRT Boxing Show, the Ready Talk Boxing Show. In the year 2019, do we really, as boxing fans, do we want to see a Charlo Harrison trilogy? Do we want to see that, folks? I sure in the hell don't. I do not want to see no Charlo Harrison trilogy. So saying that, do we want Charlo to win? Do we want Charlo to get his belt back? I'm pretty sure the Charlo brother fans do, Jermell fans. I'm on the fence. I don't care who wins the rematch. But at the same time, I don't want to see a Harrison Charlo 3. Can you imagine what that would do to the division if it's a trilogy? Now, I'm pretty sure if Charlo wins, it's not going to be no mandatory rematch like he's getting. Almost like the point where Frampton beat Leo. Leo got his belt back, and there's still no rematch. So I'm pretty sure that's how that's going to go if Charlo was to win. Now, as for the big names in the welterweight, now, like I said, we know Harrison and Charlo, that rematch is coming within the first quarter. We're just not quite sure if it's February or March. We know Jared Hurd is fighting J Rock. We're not sure on the month. So I believe all four champions are going to be fighting in the first quarter. It's just two of the dates we're not quite sure on. Again, that's Hurd versus J Rock, Charlo, and Harrison rematch. And then you got on the 26th, you got Jaime Munguia, the WBO champion, taking on Inoue. Now, what is crazy about this fight is in Houston, Texas, right there in the hometown of the Charlo brothers. Jermell Charlo, the former WBC champion. It would have been a really nice selling point to have Jaime Munguia go in Houston, whoop some dude's ass, and call out Houston's very own champion. But Houston ain't got a champion no more in the welterweight class. Maybe he could still call out Charlo. It'd be a nice fan base, nice Houston rumbling. Like, yeah, I want to fuck up your native boy. You know, that'd be a good fight. Charlo versus Munguia. Get a belt back that way. But we'll see what happens in this rematch. Again, that is the 26th. Now, there is some fights in the super welterweight before that on the 13th and the 18th, but they're more of the lower tier, if prospect level. Now, again, you got the hot 5-0 Joey Spencer. He's fighting on the undercard of Ugatsky and Plant on the 13th. And on the 18th, you got Carlos Adami. Now, he's number 10 by the WBO and number 11 by the IBF and number 5 by the WBA. He's fighting Juan Ruiz. Now, he's on the undercard of some crazy-ass fucking card. It has Oscar Valdez, Elder Alvarez versus Kovalev, Adami, Juan. It's just a stacked, ridiculous card. So that's going to be a good card to watch on the 18th. Again, we discussed Jaime Munguia taking on Inoue on the 26th. That should be a good card. I mean, that should be a good fight. Jaime Munguia, hopefully in 2019 we'll see where he starts to work behind a stiff jab, because the dude's motor and the way he likes to knock you out and just brutally beat your body down, wear you out. If he works behind the jab, he could grow into a very dangerous fighter. Very dangerous fighter. And then you kind of won't mind seeing them just kind of shovel him into a Canelo fight. Because right now, it's pretty much, you don't know when it's going to happen, but in a 10-fight contract with the zone left, you can kind of foresee that Jaime Munguia is going to be one of those fights, right? It's like David Lemieux is somehow going to be one of those fights. You don't know where, but it's going to be. So the WBC program, 160, David Lemieux can't make, but at 168, Canelo went up there. Hey, now he can fight David Lemieux. Anyway, that is the month of January welterweights. Again, the 13th, 18th, and 26th. The best one's probably looking like a Munguia versus Takashi Inoue. Should be a good fight. I'm expecting Munguia to really hurt Inoue after a few rounds of getting through the Inoue's jab. Now, February is going to be, there's 2 fights. Interesting fights. Interesting fights. Now, Sergio Garcia, probably not known to a lot of boxing fans. His name, he's been for the last few years, if you've been watching the rankings like I have right here on the RRT Boxing Show, Again, the show is only created about a year and a half ago, and it's what we do. We talk of rankings, we talk boxing, we talk belts. But as a fan, this is what I did without the show. I just entertained myself for fights. And I always saw Sergio Garcia, saw his name, kept following him and following him. Now he's 14 by the IBF, but he climbed himself all the way to number 3 by the WBC. This guy could be in line to fight the winner of the Charlo Harrison rematch. He's right there, folks. But he's taking on fucking the big cheese, Ted Cheeseman. Now, if you haven't known Ted Cheeseman, it's time. It's time to turn a rock, turn a leaf, and start following a few more boxers. Ted Cheeseman, number 14 by the WBA, a nice local British type fighter who is saying, fuck the domestic level. I want to be worldwide fucking badass. He's going for the European Super Welterweight title against Garcia, but he's already the WBA International Super Welterweight. I believe he was the British welterweight. So he's definitely going for big time shit here. He defeated Carson Jones. He defeated Byfield. So he is constantly changing his competition in the right way. So I'm highly, it's going to be a good fight because with Sergio, he likes to, take steps here and there. He tries to turn you, keep you in the middle of the ring, reset your feet, and pop shot you. And we know Ted Cheeseman, he's going to come forward, duck left, right, duck left, and just try and put pressure and try and put a sink in your face. He's going to try to throw that kitchen sink at you. So it's going to be interesting to see, can El Nino move around and throw enough 1-2 jabs, or will the young prospect Ted Cheeseman, the big cheese, upset and take that spot? Because remember, Ted Cheeseman is number 14 in the BA. Garcia is 14 in the IBF. Now, like I said, and again, Ted Cheeseman is a WBO international champion, but what's important is the WBC ranking spot that Sergio has at number 3. So that's a fight that Mr.A is definitely watching. So as it gets closer to the month of February, be sure to look out for the breakdown and prediction, and definitely a post-fight recap of this fight. We will be on Ted Cheeseman versus Sergio Garcia. That's a highlight for the super welterweights. And an interesting fight also in the month of February, Erickson Lubin taking on Ishe Smith. Ishe Smith, I believe, is going to be 40. Erickson Lubin's somewhere in his young 20s. Lubin's coming out talking a lot of trash. How he beat up Harrison in his sparring session, trying to bring himself up. Like, dude, why would you even say you beat up Harrison in a sparring session? He beat the guy who knocked you out in 1 round. What do you get out of saying I beat that guy in sparring? If that's how you want to pick up your self-esteem, make yourself seem like you're somebody, by all means, talk it up, Lubin. Talk it up. That is on the undercard of Tank Davis versus Abner Mares. Tank Davis, another guy who the WBC weight program might help, because Tank Davis, him, Adrian Broner, they get big in between fights, They both been missing weight. So it's very interesting, But again, Erickson Lubin and Ishe Smith. If Erickson Lubin is who people thought he was, now, will he stop Ishe Smith? I don't know. But he should definitely easily win this fight. Ishe Smith is a gamer. Yeah, he knows how to survive, but Father Time's catching up to him. His punches are getting slappish. He's not turning his punches over. He has like a good spark every so bout in a round, Erickson Lubin should win that fight. Now, those are the big fights. Now, there's some fights out there that's not quite inked in. You know, you got Mark DeLuca, I believe, like IBF. He's like number. What is Mark DeLuca out? Like I said, a lot of these super welterweights are going to be the fighters who are trying to build themselves up, and that's what we do on the WRT Boxing Show. We inform and we follow these guys. Mark DeLuca, straight out of the USA, he's at number 10 for the WBA. So the WBA is having some action. Now, his opponent is a TBA, so we're not expecting um, a knockout fight from Mark DeLuca. But like I said, he's going to make his debut. I'm going to find out about Mark DeLuca just as you are. Now, other fights before we sign off on this quick little episode. Anthony Fowler, I'm interested. He's fighting at the end of the March. I'm interested in seeing him step up his competition. With Liam Smith signing to Matchroom recently, he's number 14 by the WBO. So everyone's just kind of foreseeing a Liam Smith versus Kell Brook. It's a good fight. I remember I thought that fight was going to happen a long time ago when Liam Smith was the champion. I even thought Liam Smith was going to fight Kell Brook when he fought Liam Williams. I would definitely like to see that fight. What about Kell Brook versus Anthony Fowler? That'd be a fucking crazy ass fight. Because speaking of that super welterweight and Kell Brook is another one about the weight program. He is a perfect example of why I think the weight program is a good thing. He definitely blooms up, and you see him in between fights. He has the round face. He balloons up big, and then when it comes in time for fight, he's fucking shredded. And as the years have passed, he just hasn't looked the same. He hasn't looked fast. He hasn't looked strong. He looks sluggish. Now, people could say it's the 2 ass whoopings he took back to back, quitting. It could be the rumor of why he left the Ingle gym. Maybe he was on some juice, losing all that weight. And now that Billy Joe got popped and Ingle and all that suspicion, Kid Gallahan, he had to lose that camp. He had to leave that camp, leave the juice, so he's not looking the same. Either or, we're just going to stick it to that. Kell Brook has been doing a lot of weight cutting, and he's not looking the same. He's getting hit. In his last fight against Zuffa, he was getting hit way too easy. A lot of people thought it was the beginning of the downslide. Again, too much weight loss catching up to him. His body's getting weak. He's getting weak. His face, he's looking frail. He doesn't have that strength, that pop that we grown accustomed to Kell Brook having. So again, I'm all for the weight class, and like I said, this is just the first quarter. Really, not much happening up until, like I said, in March, and it's not quite penciled in, but it's the word that Erislandy Lara, it will be making his last, you could say his last push in his career. I'm going to enjoy that because if you are a fan of the show, the WRT Boxing Show, you would know that is Mr. A's favorite fighter. So I'm interested in March 2nd. It's not penciled in, but it's looking like it. It might be the March 2nd on Showtime. Erislandy Lara will take on Um, I forgot his name, but he's the WBA regular champ, Castellano. Definitely a nice, strong fighter. Shouldn't shouldn't possess too much of a problem for Laura if Laura is the same guy and hasn't aged or lost anything from the Herd fight. You know, Castellanos going to come with some nice power, some hooks, get in his chest. But like I said, if Laura is still the same Laura that we think, he's 36. Time catches up to everyone. Even my favorite man, the American Dream, gets old. So this could be a night where he gets old and Castellano catches the legend and knocks his ass out. Eventually one day your legs just don't run as fast as they used to. You know, actually, Sam Bolt. Eventually you just slow down. So two fights that I'm highly looking forward to. February 2nd, Ted Cheeseman versus Sergio Garcia. And if it all works out and it gets penciled in, March 2nd, Lara versus Castellano. Those are two highlighted fights for the Super Welterweights right here on the RRT Boxing Show. I'm your host, Mr.A. Leave a comment down below. What fights are you looking forward in the Super Welterweight divisions? The the Harrison and Charlo rematch. Do you want a Harrison and Oh my goodness. Do you want a Harrison and Charlo trilogy? Or do you want a Harrison and Hurd rematch? Do you want to? Are you happy to see Lubin coming back? What do you think of the E.J. Smith? What fights do you want to see in this first quarter of the J-Show? Like I said, we got Spencer coming. We got Damas, Juan Reyes. We got Munguia, Inui, Garcia, Cheeseman, Lubin's, Ishe, Lara Castino. We got Patrick Day, the little top-ranked prospect. He's going to be on the undercard of the Kovalev and Alvarez fight, which is Valdez as well. You got Anthony Fowler, Liam Smith. There's a lot of little names out there. Just leave a comment down below. Which Super Welterweight are you keeping an eye out for in the first quarter of 2019? This is the RRT Boxing Show, episode number 4. WBC program, Super Welterweight Talk. See you on the next one.